Hello, my name is Christopher Skack, and today I will be doing an overview of SourceXpress software from Tektronix. SourceXpress is a software package built for our AWG series products. SourceXpress allows you to create waveforms and setups for your particular environment. Basically, SourceXpress is a free application that's available as a download from our website and enables you to connect remotely to your AWG series products. SourceXpress software interface is exactly the same as the actual AWG interface, so you won't be confused with a different application. Basically, everything that you can do from the front panel of the AWG, you should be able to do from SourceXpress. So you can completely control your instruments remotely using SourceXpress. Also, if you don't have the instrument available, in many lab environments, somebody else may be using the equipment, but you want to continue your work and create waveforms and setups. So SourceXpress enables you to create virtual instruments with the hardware specifications that you have in your lab, and then create specific setups and waveforms. And then when the instruments are available, you can transfer the data to the instruments. As you can see here, we are also working on plugins that will plug into SourceXpress that allow you to create specific types of waveforms depending on your applications. At introduction of SourceXpress, you will have the ability to do multi-tone and chirp signals for RF type applications in radar. Precompensation module, a generic waveform tool to create generic waveforms. So with SourceXpress, you have one environment, same as the hardware environment, so that you don't have to learn a new tool. You can use SourceXpress just as if you were using the AWG. Currently, SourceXpress only works on the 70,000 series AWG products, but future products will be added as we develop more capabilities with our SourceXpress software. As I mentioned, precompensation is probably one of the biggest features that many people want to do and don't want to have to write their own program to do this. Precompensation allows you a simple closed loop system in order to compensate for the losses of cables, connectors, and other things in the path from your AWG output to your DUT. We use either an oscilloscope or a spectrum analyzer to do this compensation. Basically, the idea is to flatten off the frequency response so you have a nice flat response out to the frequency that you need to send your waveform. We'll show this in the demonstration. So here we're actually viewing the SourceXpress software running on my PC. As you see here, it's very similar to the AWG application running on the actual hardware. What I've done here is I've actually undocked a few of the tabs so that I can view more than one tab at a time. So we're viewing the Setup tab, the Home tab, one of the plugin modules, the Waveform plugin module, and also our precompensation plugin module. Basically what we do when we start up SourceXpress is we go in and connect to the instruments. Here you see that we're connect to either an instrument through the LAN interface, or you can create a virtual instrument. The virtual instrument will basically be the way you set it up so that you can create all your setups and your waveforms on this virtual instrument that is identical to your actual AWG hardware. And then when the hardware is available, you can transfer, you can connect up directly to your AWG and send the waveforms and settings and control the AWG through the remote session. So in this configuration, what I have done is I have created several waveforms using our optical module. What I've created is an I and a Q waveform generated actually from RFExpress, and then imported the RFExpress waveforms directly into my SourceXpress waveform list. And then what I did is once I've got my waveforms, I can then apply a correction factor. And the way we get our correction factor is with our precompensation plugin. The precompensation plugin allows you to create precompensation, and this is used to correct for any cable loss, connectors, anything in the path from the AWG to your device under test. And basically what we do is we connect the output of the AWG through the path of your connectors and attenuators or amplifiers directly to an oscilloscope. In this case we're using a DSA 73304D, and then we run the compensation, and we basically want to set it up for the frequency range that we're using for our particular application. We have two zones, basically Nyquist zone 1 or Nyquist zone 2, and this would be if you want to calibrate for the image in zone 2. So in some cases people want to use the actual image of their signal rather than the first Nyquist zone. And you can also create multiple, basically average the concurrent correction factors so that you come up with an average of all the corrections that it does. So this will give you the best correction possible depending on how many averages you want to do. Now we have different generic tools for creating waveforms. Here we're looking at the multi-tone generic tool, and this is available with the introduction of SourceXpress. The multi-tone allows you to create RF multi-tone type waveforms, and this basically you can do either multi-tone, and this is usually used in RF applications and in radar applications along with a chirp. So in this case we can create specific chirp waveforms. Under the compile set waveform tool or waveform plugin module, you'll have different considerations depending on the actual plugin that you're using. If we go to the compensation, basically you just create the compensation. It will create a coefficient file, and this coefficient file is a ASCII file very similar to S1P file that you can go in and edit or view or use in other applications. The nice thing is that you can import waveforms from MATLAB or other types of software that you want to use for creating your waveforms. If you don't want to use our tools, you can go in and then apply the correction to your particular waveforms. So in this case you would apply a correction, and then you pick a correction file that you've created using the precompensation tool, and once you open the file you can see the characteristics of that particular compensation. If it's an NRZ type waveform, you may not want to apply your sin X over X correction, so you have the ability to turn that off if you want to. So I've already done the correction for an IQ type waveform that I've created, and then saved the correction files now, and I've dragged them into the particular AWGs. Here I'm viewing my my second AWG. If I go to the master AWG, you'll notice that here I'm looking at the I waveform, and it's playing at this time. You can see that if I go under my setup and look at the sync, I'm actually synchronized to two AWGs, so I'm able to keep very fine skew between the outputs of the AWGs. The sync hub enables you to have very, very low skew between the two or however many AWGs that you have in this configuration, and I've already set that up for us. For this particular configuration, I've actually am displaying it on our oscilloscope using Signal View software, and here we're looking at a 16 QAM 32 gigabaud signal, and I'll go ahead and run it again here, and you can see this is live. So we're actually sending this live out of two AWGs, one for the I channel and one for the Q channel, And you can see this has got a very nice flat response. Here we're seeing between 4 and 5% EVM. So this is very good for a 32 gigabaud 16 QAM signal that we're able to produce here using the AWG's synchronized and applying the correction factor that we created using the oscilloscope. The same oscilloscope that's used here to view this we use for our correction tool. So let's see if there's anything else I can show you. We also have under our generic or waveform plugin, we have a generic basic waveform capability. So if you want to create just simple type waveforms, we have that available also. And again, depending on the setup, you can have it create the waveform, compile only, so that it creates it and puts it in the waveform list, or you can have it compile and automatically send it to a channel. If you have a multi-channel box, it'll give you the opportunity to select the channels that are available. And then you can also have it play automatically after it has been compiled. So this is very useful tool. SourceXpress, like I said, is available as a free download from the web at this time. And the plugins, we also have plugins that are available. Some plugins will require a license that you need to buy, and we have a very generic licensing capability so that you can do a one-time or a multiple license. Very useful to be able to go in, and if you don't need the plugin for a very long period of time, you can buy a short time license so that you don't have to continue to pay for a license that you aren't using, or you can and then re-enable it if you need to at a later time if you need to use that plugin again. So it's a very easy configuration. Now these plugins are not only available as plugins for the SourceXpress software, but these plugins are also available as directly into the AWG hardware. So if you want to run everything from your AWG, don't want to use it remotely from a PC, you can get the particular plugin and install it directly on your AWG. I find this SourceXpress software very useful, though. It enables me to control instruments remotely, set everything up that I need to, and if the hardware isn't available at the time, it really makes it easy to set up everything, and then once the hardware is available, I can then connect and start running my test. And this saves a lot of time for engineers, such that they don't have to wait for the machine in order to start to create their setups and their waveforms. They can do this all offline, and then when the hardware is available, it makes it very easy to connect and run your tests. So you're saving time of not worrying about how to run the AWG, and you can concentrate your efforts into the actual tests that you want to make. So hopefully you'll be able to download this and give it a try, and hopefully it will enable you to create waveforms, control your AWGs, and use your AWGs more effectively. Thank you for your time. Bye now.
Find out more at Vicom's website.